Welcome, disciples of the internet, to the tertiary installment of my series where I intend to recreate every level from Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mario Maker 2. This video will encapsulate the 12 levels that make up World 3 of Mario Bros. 3, also known as Waterland. If you have seen the previous videos, make sure to click on the handy reference card in the corner of your screen that will take you to the first video. Just one more thing left before the building, however. Make sure to subscribe in order to have your home be spared when the Jelly Hurricane passes over it. 3-1. In Super Mario Bros. 3, there's never any water level that is just fully underwater. There's always a gap of air at the top where the player can reach some secrets. In the Mario Maker 2 editor, the underwater theme makes it so the whole space is underwater, so I simply just remove these sections as they would allow the player to swim over anything, and I want to maintain some semblance of difficulty. In basically every water level, there are also some pipes that just spout bursts of air that push the player in a certain direction. This is slightly replaceable as Mario Maker 2 has the Twister, which is the weirdest addition to the game that no one invited. But in this one circumstance, we can recreate the bubbling pipes that are oriented upwards, and only upwards since twisters cannot face other directions. Because I had to eliminate the above ground sections, some parts of this level are just now inaccessible, like this fire flower, which will never be grabbed by anyone ever. We also have a new enemy introduced in this level, the Lava Lotus. It shoots 4 spike balls at the player when they get close. In order to replicate this, I instead made the mythical 3-headed piranha plant, which will replace all Lava Lotuses from now on. This level also needs to start out with the ground section, just to make sure the player ends the level above ground. 3-2. This level has a strong, heavy reliance on chains and the like, and from previous videos you should know that the chains are not quite accurate. So most times when a chain was featured, I just had to recreate it in the general shape it appeared in the original level. The next problem is at the end of the level, there's this short little section the player is intended to reach with a super leaf, but since there is no super leaf in this level, and you can't carry power-ups between levels, this beautiful section will never be seen by the outside world. 3-3 is a level that fully revolves around one gimmick, one that I do not have. Boss Bass is a giant Cheep Cheep that patrols the level trying to eat Mario. The best I can do to replace this is one normal Cheep Cheep that is easily defeated with a singular jump. About midway through the level, there's also a lift that repeatedly spins on certain intervals. Mario Maker 2 gives us a normal seesaw that works exactly how you would expect, with no spinning. Just after the seesaw are some ice blocks. Cannot really find out what they're supposed to be made of. Mario can just pick up these blocks and throw them to destroy obstacles. Right now for World 3 I can just replace these with regular bricks, but if this ever leads to the level being impossible, I'll have to get crafty. And by the way, there's an interlude section, but you probably already expected that. 3-Fortress 1. Oh my sweet jam, this level is a gargantuan pain. The Mario 3 staff were playing with warp doors and pipes and made a level where the player must choose the correct door in order to find Boom Boom at the end. One massive problem is that Mario Maker 2 only gives us 4 warp doors per subworld, so most of these doors are going to be replaced with pipes, and that won't even save us, as the editor does not let us make too many enterable pipes. So I guess some pipes are there now just for decoration. The start of this level also features some wacky disco balls, but thanks to Trija 204 I now replace the spike balls with fireballs with wings. Also, since the second subworld is water, we have to use the trash Mario 3 jungle theme, which kinda takes the player out of the fortress vibe. Eventually there's just another Boom Boom fight and one last interlude section before I never have to deal with this level again in my life. 3-4 is such a breath of fresh air where some of the only problems are pits of water and different textures. Later into the level there's a section with a hidden peace witch that gives the player a plethora of coins. I decided not to replace them with blocks as I did earlier, then that would just look wacky. 3-5 features even more above ground sections that I must vanish from existence, and more bubbly pipes that must be backed up with twisters. There are also 2 instances of these big Cheep Cheeps that spit out little Cheep Cheeps. I would think that they are the same character as Boss Bass, but no, they are named, Big Bertha. In the original level, there is a pipe that the player can swim into with a frog suit, but since the pipe is too close to the ground in Mario Maker 2, I cannot put a twister there, so the player can just get into the sub-area for free. In the sub-area, there is a giant question mark block that gives the player 3 1-ups. Since stacking a bunch of individual question mark blocks in the exact same place would look strange, I simply just put 3 individual question mark blocks right next to each other. 3-6 is another auto-scroller type level that takes place over some perilous pits. Since this level also features some ice blocks, some parts of this level that were easily accessible before are now much harder to get to. And of course there is another interlude section, but at least they are looking better by the moment. 3-7 is a level that was not quite accurate, but was fun to make. Since there were some strange grassy platforms in this level, I actually replaced them with some vines and ground blocks. I think it looks quite good. About 3/4 of the way through the level, there's another invisible no block that leads to a sky sub-area. At the end of this area, instead of leading the player back normally, they are awarded with a cloud. I wasn't quite sure what to do here, so I just gave the player a 1-up and sent them to the end of the level. 3-Fortress 2, our first instance of a world in Super Mario Bros. 3 that has multiple fortresses. Since we need water for both of the sub-areas in this level, the fortress theme won't even be used anywhere in the level, making this the first fortress level that doesn't end with the player hitting the axe at the end. In the third area of this level are some strange bars of ectoplasm, I guess, and residing in these bars are some boos called stretches. We can replace the stretches, but not the strange white bars they ride on. So I just used some note blocks. They are white enough. 3-8 is another Boss Bass-centric level, except now the water rises up and down. This is not really a threat anymore now that Boss Bass is gone, but hey, at least the water is rising. There is also another lift that will need to be replaced with a strange looking unstable blue lift. And there is also a pool of water at the end, so I unfortunately had to use the Mario 3 jungle theme again, which I cannot stress my disdain for enough. 3-9 is a level that sort of has two layers, one layer that is above ground and one that is underwater. Thankfully in the above ground there are a bunch of familiar enemies that we already have access to. The later half of this level features a bunch of ice blocks that should have been easily pushed out of the way, but now we have to utilize the Koopas and Bob-ombs in the level in order to break through. In the bottom half, there's a lot of water, with the bottom blocks being some strange blue ground. In the left of this area is another sub-area that leads to a giant block, this time giving the player a frog suit. Too bad we only have such a small area to use it in. 3-Airship. The original airship has the color of blue, teal, aquamarine. This level features a lot more of those strange wall cannons that can now just be replaced with some simple cannons that are shoved into some 1x1 spaces in the walls. After the cannon is some strange corkscrew platform that is moved by repeatedly jumping on the platform. Finally, in this case, the unstable blue platform is the right color. The boss battle against Wendy takes place in a boring flat room and plays quite similarly to the original game. After not collecting the wand, the player can fall out of the sky and finish World 3. So that was all 12 levels of World 3 in Super Mario Bros. 3 represented in Mario Maker 2. At the end of this series, I will rank all levels based on their faithfulness to the original, but for now, I will just rank all of the levels in this world. Number 12. 3-Fortress 1. Number 11, 3-3. Number 10, 3-8. Number 9, 3-Fortress 2. Number 8, 3-5. Number 7, 3-1. Number 6, 3-Airship. Number 5, 3-7. Number 4, 3-2. Number 3, 3-9. Number 2, 3-6, and number 1, 3-4. That's all levels in World 3 ranked from least to most faithful in Mario Maker 2. Eventually, I will recreate future worlds and the final ranking of every level, but until then, stick around.